What's going on, guys? I recently obtained access to the final closed beta test for Snowbreak Containment Zone and wanted to give you guys my first impressions of the game ahead of the launch on July 20th. This video isn't sponsored, so I'll be giving you my honest takes, but after around 10 hours of gameplay, I can honestly say the game has exceeded my expectations. If you don't know anything about the game, this is a gacha-based third-person shooter with anime aesthetics that is releasing cross-platform on PC and mobile. The game kind of plays something like a mobile version of The Division and seems to take a lot of inspiration from Punishing Gray Raven. While I think there's definitely room for improvement, I wouldn't expect much prior to the launch with this game coming out next month. Even then, I do think this game will appeal to a similar audience that enjoys games like Aethergazer, Punishing Gray Raven, and Honkai Impact. In this video, I'll give a brief overview of what the game has to offer and go over things that I really like about the game and some things that I think the game falls short on. All this information is based on the CBT and is subject to change, so do take what I say with a grain of salt. Without wasting any more time, let's get into the video. When you first hop into the game, you'll start clearing chapter 1 of the main story. The beta currently has a total of 8 chapters, and as of the time of making this video, I'm in the middle of chapter 6. Each of the story missions are instance-based and accessed from the UI, much like the other games mentioned. Story missions allow you to take 3 characters on your team, which you can freely swap through. Each character has a normal attack, standard skill with a set cooldown, ultimate skill with an energy requirement that gets filled by normal attacking enemies, and a supportive skill that can be applied only when the character is off-field. You can also utilize ultimate skills of off-field characters, but they otherwise are off-field and not contributing to the team outside of these skills. I think it would have been nice to have these characters attacking alongside the on-field character, but this is really just a preference. There's a good amount of button management involved, utilizing the skills of the on-field character and support and ultimate skills of off-field characters. Characters have elemental types with 5 different elements of the game as of this CBT. Certain enemies have various resistances to elemental types that may prioritize using certain characters or weapons over others. There are also 5 weapon types currently in the game: submachine guns, sniper rifles, shotguns, pistols, and assault rifles. Weapons also have an assigned elemental type, and aside from the general playstyle, some weapons work better against certain enemies than others due to the ricochet mechanic for heavily armored enemies. Overall, some weapons just seem more efficient and powerful than others, which is a general complaint that I have. Submachine guns, for example, result in a high amount of ricochet, but don't have any other attributes that seem to really make up for this. As far as character movement mechanics, all you really have are sprint and dodge. Games that don't have a jump mechanic always annoy me, but there really isn't a need for one here. I do feel like this game is missing a duck mechanic, which is a pretty standard part of any shooter game. There is some stamina management required for dodging and sprinting, but this recharges quickly and doesn't require much thought. As long as you aren't constantly sprinting, you can spam dodge pretty easily while not running out of stamina. I do want to touch on stage design a bit before moving on, as I think this is one of the things this game does very well. Most stages have a good amount of verticality, allowing you not only to elevate yourself above enemies, but also allow enemies to attack down at you. The details in the levels are also clearly thought out, with cover available, CC-type props scattered near enemy locations, and just overall details put into the environment. Even areas that are not accessible have a good amount of detail, which makes the world feel more alive, especially with the game being instance-based. The stages also all contain a good amount of horizontal distance from start to finish, allowing you to explore the surroundings while also killing enemies. It doesn't feel like each stage loads you into an empty arena with minimally detailed walls, but the stage design was very intentional. With the large stage sizes, enemies do feel a bit too scattered around the map, and it feels like you're spending a lot of time chasing down enemies if you do not have a sniper character on your team. With general gameplay stuff out of the way, let's talk about characters. I think this will be the most polarizing part of the video, as aesthetic preferences are definitely subjective. In my personal opinion, the rendering of the characters just look a bit off and incomplete. Skin and faces feel flat, and hair seems to be lacking texture. I think this was a design choice by the developers, and possibly a way to differentiate character designs from other games. The majority of characters have pretty forgettable clothing and facial designs, despite the amount of effort put into the details of the clothing. If the devs are going to sell characters through the gacha as the main source of revenue, I think they're going to need to find a way to give them more personality and unique designs while still fitting in the general aesthetics of the game. I have concerns about the ability for the devs to effectively monetize this game if they can't sell characters. Usually with any new gacha, there are 1 or 2 characters that catch my eye and that I feel like I need to reroll for before starting the game, and I really didn't get that feeling here. One thing to note is that the game only has 4 and 5-star characters. The game will give everyone 3 free characters: Wednesday Life, Lionheart Fenny, and Redacted Acacia, all of which are 4 stars. Lifey is an SMG user, Fenny is a shotgun user, and Acacia is a pistol user. This lineup is great for clearing what early game has to offer, but is missing a sniper rifle unit in my opinion. If you don't get one, 4-star Yao is available for free with the 7-day login bonus, and the game gives you a 5-star sniper rifle when completing the Supernova missions. Another potential negative with characters in the game is that there are 4 and 5-star versions of the same character. I'm generally not a fan of this in games, as it can seem like a lazy way to do character design, but isn't necessarily a deal breaker. As far as character abilities and animations go, I think these are very well done in my opinion, and each character definitely has a unique feel and playstyle. Characters have a normal attack, 3 abilities, and 1 passive unique to the character. Abilities currently in the game fall into the general categories of DPS, support, and healing. Let's briefly look at a few examples of types of skills. 5-star Yao's standard skill reloads a scorching bullet, turning her sniper shot into an AoE thermal attack, increasing normal attack damage, and interrupts the enemy's special skill for a period of time. 5-star Fenny's support skill increases the shooting speed of her teammates by 15% for 8 seconds. Other supportive skills cause CC like knockback or slow, AoE damage, healing, and other supportive type abilities. 4-star Yao's ultimate skill creates a safe zone, healing characters within it for a set amount of time. Characters definitely feel like they have unique playstyles, and if this is something you value as a player, I think the game does deliver here. In addition to 8 chapters of standard story stages at launch, there are hard mode versions of all these stages. Both regular and hard mode stages drop summon currency, weapon EXP, account EXP, and common currency. Drop rates for summon materials are okay, but we'll get into this a little more later in the video. Early story mode stages all feel really easy and like I can stomp through them with little effort or thought, which is a bit disappointing. However, I can feel the difficulty ramping up slightly in chapter 6. I like to feel like I need to hit some minimum level and gear requirements to break through into higher stages, and as of mid chapter 6, I just haven't felt that way yet. Maybe the devs will get some feedback and increase the difficulty of these stages some ahead of release. There are several other game modes that seem like they're designed to push the limit of characters further, so this could be the devs' approach here. In addition to the main story, other game modes include Operation, Personal File, Dispatch, and Giggling. Operations includes a mix of your standard material farming stages that you'll likely be dumping a lot of your stamina into once you've completed the main story. Personal Files let you farm character shards to aid in maxing out both 4 and 5-star characters. You can farm a limited number of stages per day, so it will take some time to fully max out any character. You also have to unlock a character for the first time to access their personal file. Giggling is the co-op mode where you play with 2 other players and go through a stage picking up buffs in the process. You can either invite players or utilize random matchmaking. You'll get various rewards the more you play this game mode, and it's not clear if these regularly reset. This mode feels like more of a way to play with others and less of a direct challenge, which I'm okay with. The final gameplay modes are the dispatch missions. These appear to be the endgame type modes meant to challenge your account. Underground Purge is a tower type game mode which seems to regularly reset and provide summon currency and shop currency for purchasing logistics. Neural Simulation is a boss fight mode where you compete for higher scores with increasing rewards. As of the time of making this video, I'm not even able to acquire the lowest tier of rewards, which is genuinely a good sign. Clash of Honor is an endless mob type mode that rewards currency for purchasing weapon parts. And Tactic Evaluation appears to be another one-time tower type game mode. These game modes definitely seem to be promising. Time will definitely tell on how challenging these are and if they're able to keep players interested. At the time of making this video, I've only cleared the first couple of levels of each, but can definitely feel a difficulty spike while progressing, which is a great sign. Personally, I'm a huge fan of the boss fights in this game and find these to definitely be the most rewarding. A lot of these modes feel somewhat repetitive when you're just clearing increasingly difficult regular mobs for rewards, but if challenges greatly increase, I can see this becoming more enjoyable overall. It's very promising to see the CBT contain so many endgame modes available at launch, and it does seem like the devs are prioritizing endgame activities, so I would expect all of these systems to be built upon as the game is live. Let's talk briefly about enemies, because this game has a good amount of enemy types, and I think it does some things better than others. Your more basic enemies include turrets and standard trash mobs. Turrets come in several different varieties and do a good job of targeting you and dealing damage. Regular enemies just feel like they don't do enough to me, and I wish they'd be a little more lively. It feels like you're always kind of chasing down the last couple of regular enemies to clear the map. Then we have what I'm calling elite enemy types that have some mechanics that must be dealt with. These include things like weak spots with guaranteed crits, special parts that must be broken to deal considerably more damage, heavy shields would deflect lighter bullets, and weaknesses to elemental types. In general, all these enemy types feel okay, but aren't anything special. What the game does exceptionally well are bosses. If you're at or around the power level of these enemies, they may take several minutes to take down, and you'll see a number of mechanics during the fight. I wouldn't say that any of the boss fights I've encountered in the CBT are very difficult, but they feel epic, and the developers have shown they have the potential to create challenging and interesting fights. I wish these fights presented a little more challenge and feel like they're a bit of a wasted opportunity at this time. Hopefully the devs don't go the super easy route, as I don't see this as the target audience for the game. I have a few qualms with the UI, but overall I think it works fine and can be improved upon. A few thoughts on the UI. It takes a lot of inspiration from Punishing Gray Raven. Overall, the layout is easy enough to navigate. It could definitely use some love in the aesthetics department and to improve the overall appearance and quality. The in-combat UI works, but is again a bit lacking. Finding the information you're looking for is not the most intuitive. I'd like a way to view combat tips in the game. I still have no idea what this blue bar is. The crosshair is really hard to see, and there's no way to modify this in the settings, but overall I have no major complaints, and I think this is something the devs could easily improve over time. Before discussing the free-to-play friendliness and gacha, I want to touch on gearing, character dupes, and general game progression. Characters will have basic stats inherent to level and additional stats gained from things like gear and weapons. Logistics are your artifacts or gear. These provide general stats, talents with RNG stats, and set bonuses. This means that if you want to maximize the potential of your character, you will be spending some time fighting RNG. The manifestation system is your dupe system. Each new unlock takes 54 shards, which can be farmed and also acquired in the gacha. Each 4-star dupe gives 30 shards. The neuronic system gives characters additional stats and passives. Maxing out these clusters is required to unlock the 2 additional neural effects on each skill. Materials required to max out these are obtained by farming operation stages. On top of character progression, you'll have similar systems for weapons. You'll obtain weapons by playing the game and through the gacha system. Weapons have base stats, a main stat which is almost always attack percent increase, a weapon effect, and a damage type. Certain weapons do suit the kits of certain characters better than others. The weapon's main stat is increased by increasing weapon level. Weapon dupes will increase the strength of the weapon effect, and a total of 5 dupes will max out the effects. Weapon characteristics are further increased with weapon attachments. In the CBT, these appear to be obtained by playing through the story and can be purchased from the Clash of Honor shop. I want to wrap up this video by going over the gacha system and free-to-play friendliness of Snowbreak. As of this CBT, there are 3 gacha banners currently available. A beginner banner guaranteeing a 5-star after 50 summons, a standard character banner, and a weapon banner. The beginner banner and standard banners share the same summon tickets, and the weapon banner has a separate ticket type. When limited banners are introduced, they may utilize a 3rd type of ticket, but nothing is in the CBT at this time. 5-star characters have a 0.7% drop rate on the standard banner, and in the CBT there are only 4 5-star characters present. This banner also drops 4-star characters and 3-star weapons. This banner has an 80 summon guarantee. The weapon banner is a bit different. It still has a 0.7% 5-star drop rate, but you're able to select a specific rate up weapon. If you don't get this weapon after hitting the guarantee at 60 summons, you will get it guaranteed as the next 5-star. I don't have any major gripes with the gacha other than the 5-star drop rate being on the low side. It's hard to say exactly how free-to-play friendly this game will be and how generous the devs will be with summoning resources. Each story chapter only gives a little over a summon, but weekly rewards seem pretty decent. The game also features several endgame modes in the CBT that allow for repeat farming of summoning materials. We'll have to see how the devs handle this moving forward. I'd say the game is very free-to-play friendly, with being able to farm character shards for characters that you have with the personal files system. It will take a good amount of time to max out characters, but is doable for free-to-plays. You can also purchase character shards in the regular shop and neural simulation shop, with the latter allowing you to purchase 5-star shards. If limited characters massively power creep standard characters, or these characters aren't eventually added to the shop, this would make these systems less valuable, but at this time the game does seem to be pretty free-to-play friendly. Wrapping up this video, I think Snowbreak Containment Zone is a pretty polished game overall that has a lot of potential. I think this game will be much more enjoyable on PC and could never see myself playing on a mobile device personally, but I'm sure there are others that would. The difficulty will definitely ramp up on a mobile device, and I just can't see myself having nearly as much fun. The presence of a good amount of endgame during a CBT is definitely a good sign that the devs are prioritizing this moving forward, especially with how easy the story missions seem to be and how quickly I was able to get through the first 6 chapters. If this game ends up being pretty free-to-play friendly, continues to improve upon challenging combat, and creates some more unique character designs, I believe it can definitely find a dedicated audience. I still think the game is fairly niche and won't be a massively popular game, but if the style appeals to you, I would definitely recommend trying it out. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to see more content on Snowbreak, let me know in the comments and I'll consider making some additional videos leading up to the launch. I'll see you guys soon for the next video. Peace.